Welcome to Model Railroad Designs, and today I have for you a steel mill, a port with a barge, car float, trestle, passenger stations, and a yard with a full engine facility. Everything set in the 1920s on 13 by 14 feet in N scale. Oh, and there's also 2 staging yards. But more on that later in the video. The space given to me is this square right here. Everything inside. The wall does continue here to the right. We'll see that later. And there is some limited access here on the bottom, like a pathway that goes all the way to the left to another space. The first thing to determine is the best layout shape. And there are different shapes for different types of people. And that will become clear in a minute. So a good way to use all this space is to have it around the room design. We want a little bit of continuous running, but mostly prototypical operations point to point. This is a very effective use of the room, but it might not be for everyone. Another layout shape would be like a double peninsula with staging hidden under the peninsulas. So there's a peninsula here in the middle, and the track would loop around and head down and then into staging and then loop back and then head up again. And the same on the peninsula here in the bottom. Now, when modeling the 1930s, we don't always have a lot of engine power to pull these long trains and passenger trains. So we're very limited to the grade that is acceptable, and it really has to stay below 1.75. So some solutions like this here are just not going to cut it because the grade would be too steep, and the clearance between the deck below and the top deck is just too shallow. You have like an inch or 2 inches, and there's no way you can get your hand in there to get a train if it derails or something along those lines, let alone repair the track if needed. Here on the bottom, you have a little bit more length where you could actually start to head down here on the left and to really make a loop down into the port, around the peninsula, and head down again. There's a town here. You don't really want to have a town under a grade, but you can, and then loop around here into staging. And then the last variant is basically the same, but everything has been rotated clockwise 90 degrees. So there's the big peninsula that was at the bottom is now here at the left, and then we have a peninsula here in the middle. Some questions still need to be answered on this sketch, like where is the staging, etc. But the big difference between these 3 designs is how you view and perceive the layout. So in this case, you see it from this end, you got some nice, beautiful scenery, in this case the port, which is the main feature of the layout anyways. You have some more scenery on the left, and then you get drawn into the layout. Steel mill will be here in the future. And then you can go around the corner where you can see past this backdrop, and then the rest of the layout reveals itself. And that is inherently different than something like this, where the first thing you see is a lift gate, and then staging here in the bottom, which is generally not really perceived as being the most attractive site of a layout, at least not visitors. So this might be a really great use of the space to get the most out of it, but the layout doesn't present itself in the most chic way as, for example, something along these lines. For the next iteration, we started to plan in a little bit more the different elements, like how much space does it take, what will fit, what won't fit. So the client wanted a port with a car ferry or a barge, car float. So that would be here in the bottom. Later on, we didn't initially want a roundhouse, but that was added together with a yard. So the roundhouse would make a perfect fit here at the end of the peninsula. So that could fit there. We had a lot of discussions on staging and had to incorporate some kind of a Y shape. So eventually we got a few more feet here to add staging. So staging will be somewhere here. This is not the final design, but this is just the proof of concept, like this. Yes, some kind of staging can fit here. Later we came up with the idea to add an interchange, as where one of the interchange intersecting lines would go into staging. As you see here, it's still a full interchange, although this turnout here doesn't make much sense because it really serves only this line here that heads in the backdrop, but we'll just ignore that for now. Towns, town B, we have 3, town ABC, because the client also wanted passenger trains just to fill the main line a bit and to create some traffic there and different priority traffic. And then here on the left would be a medium to small sized steel mill, town A, and then we head down into the loop for staging. This design ticked all the right boxes for the client, so we moved on to the next step. As you see, I rotated the entire design and room 90 degrees counterclockwise, just so it's easier to design. You see the port has been filled in much more detail. There's a side note, 100 different ways you can model a port. There's different types of ports. This is also another option. But we decided to go into this direction. One thing to keep in mind when having a barge or car floats is you need 3 times the track in total. So you need the track on the barge itself, which would be 1 time that had cars on it, and then you need a second set of tracks here that's empty, so you can put the cars from the barge right there, and then you need a third set of track here where the next round of cars is waiting to then put onto the barge. So for these car floats, you need a little small yard just to make that all actually work. As it is a port, we added some more tracks to fill in the scene and to just have a little bit more operations. It wasn't really a requirement of the client, but with all this layout, I think it's nice to have a little bit more operations in some industries down below. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Here's one station. The yard is here. We'll go through that in a bit. The interchange got significantly smaller because the yard is just right here, so there was no need for the interchange to really be that long, to have the capability of switching cars there or parking cars there, because the yard is just right there. And down below is a steel mill. I do want to talk a little bit about that, as it's very complicated. So we have different components down below here. Bit of a sketch for myself. So we have the coke ovens with a quencher, and then here we have the blast furnace that creates pig steel. So we got slag coming out, dust coming out, hot metal coming out, and iron ore and coke and everything going up here on the high line inside the oven. And then the hot metal coming out here goes into the furnace, which then creates a steel in the form of ingots. And that then goes into a mill to refine to a product that's a bit more easy to transport across the country. Now, this steel mill is an interesting one. I wish it was built in reverse, because then it would be placed really nicely here in the corner, and then you can have everything lead up to it and then derive from that. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So this whole steel mill got spread out a bit over the length of this wall here. So we have the furnace here and then the different elements. I'll go through it in a minute. But yeah, that's something to consider when planning a big scene industry like this. Like, how is it going to look? And what are the kits that you have available, and how do they fit with the space that you have? So let's go through the design. Here we have the main line coming in from staging. And basically it goes here, it splits into a siding. The siding is mostly for the passenger station right here. The passenger station also has a car for the mail car track, and here a freight house. And it goes back into the main line. And on the other side of the passenger station is all of the port activity. So we have the car floats there, 2 of them, and the accompanying yard to be able to service that. There is a second track here that serves that industry, a team track here, and a larger freight yard here in the back. These are great local traffic generators for the yard just over there. And there is a little bypass track here to get back onto the main line. If we just zoom into the port and rotate it, we have a local access road that connects all the different industries and that winds through the port area, and some gravel roads, one that goes up this direction. It has the port office and plenty of opportunity to add scenes with cars and a mess and trucks and busyness all around. Fuel facility here, just add a tank to the port, will be there, and some piping that goes over the track. Some pavement area here, or asphalt area here for the team track. And down below, more unpaved roads to access this freight house here. Could be cold storage as well, with some reefers, and that just crosses the track right there. Down here we have another team track and just a fake extension to imply that the world is bigger than our layout, together with this expressway that crosses the layout here as well. The expressway at the same time creates a little bit of a barrier between this whole port scene here and the scene that's after that with the passenger station. There are some buildings here in the backdrop to somewhat help hide that the train dives into the backdrop. Going around the peninsula, we come to a whole new section of the layout, which is the yard. The yard has the main line and then arrival, departure, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 classification tracks, and one track that goes all the way around as a service track that has the stock pens right there, and also icing track here at the top. Something, both of those would be in this area in 1930. Let me just zoom in a little bit. And this also leads into the engine facility right here. So the engine facility consists of a caboose track here. Then we have 1, 2, 3 service tracks for water, sand, coal, and ash pit. There is a service track that services the ash pit and the coal that connects to the service track here that goes around the yard. And then we have the turntable here with a separate repair facility there, some storage tracks for the engines. We have an overhead crane here, and so on. If you're looking for a custom design like this, or if you're struggling with your own design, have a look at modelrailroaddesigns.com. We have different solutions for you to realize your vision. Now, before we look at staging, here we have the interchange. As I said, the other interchange line, here the interlocking building, heads here through, or dives basically in the hills and then disappears into the backdrop. Then we have 4 + 4 tracks. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks in this direction, and then 1, 2, 3, and a shared, we can call it 4th track here for this direction. And in case you do want to rotate some equipment, as you see, there is a Y here that leads just to this one track right there. Now the railroad follows the river for quite a nice bit, then goes over a trestle and cuts through a hill. So this also separates these two scenes somewhat, and then pops up behind this Vulcan Steel Industry kit. It could be anything really, but I think Steel Industry would be a nice pair with the steel mill down below to have some local traffic on the layout. I'm not really a proponent of local traffic, but I think when it comes to steel, the railroad would have local traffic, especially in the 20s and the 30s. This whole left side of the layout is intentionally left a bit more open and sparse to give a sense of travel, and also for the people management, as you'll see in a bit. We do have a passenger station here, number 2. So the first one's down below. Number 2 is right here. There's also a water tower there to fill up the steam trains again if required. And after the passenger station, we head down over trestle, along the river, and here into steel country. So let's have a look at this steel mill in basic functions and how it could operate. Generally, the entrance to the steel mill is off this siding right here, and then you immediately go into the yard right here. So this is where, as you see, the train that's modeled right here can back up, deposit all his cars there, and pick up the empties as well. And then from this yard in the other direction, you see is the yard lead is in the other direction. All these cars can be shuffled around where needed on the layout. So it starts with the blast furnace right here, where you get some slag cars and the hot iron cars, and they go here into the furnace. You see from the yard as well, there is a separate lead track. I'll just highlight it, this one, or bypass track, you could call it. So all this internal steel mill traffic does not have to go directly into the yard. So the yard can be serviced from both ends, while the internal steel mill traffic can just switch what needs to be switched. We also here have the coke facility. This, honestly speaking, was not really planned for the layout, but we just had a nice spot left over here and it fit. So I thought, well, then let's add it so we can tell the entire story. The high line back here that feeds the furnace is back here. It is raised, and there is a slight grade here going all the way back just to be able to get up there. And then it connects to the same yard lead. And finally here is the mill itself that produces, for example, slabs of steel which then can be shipped around the country. I'm wondering if you want to see how this entire steel mill would actually be switched. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see a special video on that. Of course, in the backdrop, we have more steel buildings and other industrial buildings just to tie it all in with the surroundings. So right here, adjacent the siding is a passenger station, station number 3. This is great for the workers of the steel mill and the village that's here connected to it in the backdrop. And there's a ton of view breakers and to really create some journey here just in this small stretch. So we have a crossing with station, and then we go cut through a hill, so we lose sight of the track a bit, the train a bit, sorry. We are going down a grade, then we have a valley with a trestle, then we dive under the road that has a bridge, and then here we have a little embankment, after which we go into the tunnel. All just to get the maximum amount of travel sense out of that stretch right there. And then after the tunnel, it's quite straightforward. Just go down grade, and we have the staging here. Now, initially, this staging was planned to be in the corner down here, but honestly, just don't think there's enough clearance to have the staging here. It can fit, it can work. You can go from the tunnel to the loop and then back up, but you just want a few more inches to be able to actually make it a more functional staging. If we put the rest of the benchwork on it, you see that all these turnouts are all within reach. So if something would go wrong, a derailment or something, is all easily reached. And you can have a manhole here in the middle to pop up if something would go terribly wrong here on the actual staging tracks themselves. So if we zoom out at the layout now and put in this figurine, this will also show a little bit why the components are a little bit where they are. So we have one area here for switching, so someone will be busy there. It's also, as we said, the main viewpoint from the layout, so it's really going to get everyone's attention. The second switching area is here for the steel mill. So these two people do not really mess in each other's space. There could be another person at some point here with the station. So plenty of space, no one's in each other's room. Then we have another person here working in the yard, and possibly someone here with working the engine facility. But all these areas are spaced out, so no one is really in each other's way. And so, for example, if we would have an industry here, then that's not very handy, because if someone wants to pass, then you always need to get out of the way. This person always needs to get out of the way. So these are considerations you definitely want to take into account when designing your own layout if you're going to be walking around there with multiple people. This design also included a signaling plan, so that, as you see it here, will also be included in the AnyRail file and in the rest of the design documents that you can find at my store. That's it for today, guys. Thank you very much. On to the next one.